Tipple and I are out this morning doing the Savannah Valley Railroad Trail. This is a rails to trail section, and we're actually already on the cross ties on the old railway here. It's going to skirt right across the highway here, and we'll be off up. Oh, that's actually cool. They actually left a section of the actual rails in as well. Let's see what we've got here. All right, we're at the 0 mark. Try to give us a few minutes so that hopefully the sun will come up. We're actually out for sunrise here. I'm actually a really big fan of rails to trail systems because I like the flat grade that you typically have on those. Although those hills get a little more difficult to tackle, so definitely gravitated toward walking the railways here quite often. Again, this is the Savannah Valley Railway Trail. It's about 10 miles out, 10 miles back, northern part of South Carolina, and it's going to take us to a nice little wooden trestle that was just north of 100 years old and was resurfaced probably in the last 20 years or so into a walking trail. So I know that section of the trail is pretty, so we'll go check it out. It should also take us by a really old historic cemetery out here, this old family cemetery that to me, when I was growing up as a kid here, it always seemed haunted. Let's go check it out. In this area of the country did when Hurricane Helene came through back in December of, I think it was 24. No, it wasn't December. Back in the winter of 24. Kind of stalled over the south. I know this area lost a ton of trees. It was high winds, and I know that a lot of these folks went without power for quite some time. So I expect to see a little bit of damage out here, but we'll see. I know some areas got a little bit worse than others. I know sections of the county here have been completely transformed from the storm. But here, right this minute out there here, I don't see too much damage, so that's good.
Yeah. 1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Yeah, it's like I'm guessing. I'm going to look out across here. There's quite a few down trees all in one area. And all filled out through here. We've got quite a bit down. Not as much as in some areas I've seen since I've been here in town, but there's quite a bit. I'm just like a traffic cone out here because this is the official last week of deer season. We're out here just before New Year's Eve. I know a lot of people are probably out here trying to get in the last little hunt for the year. Yeah, just build down trees. Now we're coming to at least one of the first concrete markers I've noticed. Down here and get close for you guys. So these are old 1800s markers. So you had a long section, short section, short section. So to announce the next road crossing, it's 2 long blasts on the train whistle, followed by 2 short blasts. So aside from that really creepy old family cemetery, which I think is a Pettigrew family, if I'm not mistaken, should also come up to the old foundation place for, which house isn't there anymore, but there's a spring house that should be off to the left on the trail here. We can walk down to and check out. I think it's still there. I do not believe the old house is there. I think there may be some foundation stuff, but that's about it. All of that should be pretty close together with the cemetery. This town of McCormick was founded and had quite the little gold rush that went on in its early days. You can actually still find people out here occasionally off to the roadside, outside a creek, panning for gold. Actually, even when I was living here and in college and stuff, there was an active gold mine here. I actually spent a little bit of time working in myself. I was so at the very tail end of it. About the time I was leaving, they were shutting it down, moving it to Alaska. It was an active mine. I worked there when I was in college. I always get the crummiest job I could possibly find to make me go back to school, because I wasn't really a fan of school. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right up there is someone's tree climber. They're going up that pine tree right there. I guess probably hunting that field. So again, just like a traffic cone. Made my father feel better. Me wearing orange coming out here. I'm old enough to have grandkids myself, but he always worries when his little boy goes out into the woods by himself. We actually did a trail here a few years ago, and it was single-digit temperatures when I left that morning, and he was absolutely freaking out. You're gonna freeze to death. Dad, I'm not sitting in a tree hunting, I'm moving. I'll actually be too hot once I get moving. And that's exactly what was happening. But parents are gonna worry. Yeah, got more down trees. They seem to all be kind of pushed in the same direction. Sure, that's from the storm. I think off the backside of this trail, we get a little bit further out. Oh, you know what? I think we've missed it. A deer that ran up that way. Get on the backside of this trail, and there's actually an old French Huguenot settlement out that way. I don't know how much of it remains anymore. There's some historical markers and stuff out there where a bunch of French Huguenots moved into and settled in the area. Back, speaking of parents, my father was kind enough to be my ferry, drove me out here and dropped me off. Told him I would call whenever I popped out of the woods somewhere and let someone know where I was. I fully expect for his car to just be sitting up there waiting. He was kind enough to fix me breakfast and bring it, so I actually have breakfast on the trail. Been snacking on it. It's a nice little added surprise. They do have more than their fair share of wild hogs and coyotes and stuff like that. Rumor is bears have finally started to make their way back into this area of the country, which weren't really that prevalent up to a few years ago. It's good to hear those guys are coming back. And we've got some kind of marker up here. All right, looks like just a mile marker or something like that. Not sure what 507 signifies, but I got a little bench going on up here. And we're at the 1 mile mark. And right up through there's another tree climber standing up there. Still have yet to see one with anyone in it, thankfully. Definitely appreciate when trail systems will do stuff like this. Toss a little comfortable spot for you to take a break out to if you need it. We're a couple miles in at this point. Just kind of cruising along. Continue to be more of what I expected to see. Lots of tall, mature pines. Nice flat trail. You have a Corps of Engineers marker right there. Maybe that's something like a corner marker. Maybe that's the corner square for Corps of Engineers section. Maybe. Only I can think of, at least. Seems to be what it is. Just driven in the ground right in the middle of the trail, though. So, the lake, if I'm not mistaken, is that way. It is predominantly Corps of Engineer owned around the lake. So I'm guessing that's their side. This over here, actually, the way it's kind of matured out, it's really flat up there. The trees are pretty dispersed. It makes me think that may have been an old home site up there. There's some plants growing across here that don't look overly native. So sometimes when you see those transplanted into here, it means it's part of an old home site. You go through and plant wildflowers and stuff that you just don't normally see everywhere else. Yeah, and I think I see a car up here. Station site is up here to the right. It's going to be the cemetery. And to the left is going to be the spring house. And yep, that car is my father's. Let's see what it says right here. Yep, Badwell house. Okay, let's picture the old farmhouse. Yep, it was up that way. Let's go check out the spring house. All right, there's the old cemetery this way. There's the old spring house. We'll walk out that way and look at the spring house. The old spring house is off this way. Let's get right down to the edge of the woods. You can see it over there. Slide into this pine tree here. No water over there. A little bit of a reservoir going out there. This is the old spring house. Yeah, definitely plenty of water still inside there. Looks like it's probably about 2 feet deep. A neat little spot. Rather than have a dug well, folks would just truck down here and bucket their water for the home for drinking right out of the spring there inside the spring house. I'll turn and walk up here to the old cemetery. Shouldn't be too far up, just a little ways. Should be off to the left up here. We took a right off the trail, come up this way, took a left off the trail to go to the little spring house. I don't know if you guys can see it yet or not, but the lake over here is super low. I knew they hadn't had a ton of rain lately. Wow, that's incredibly low. Coming up on the cemetery up here. You'll turn around right here. Cemetery, the main part of it should be down the left side, but there's also grave markers and stuff of the family that's kind of scattered out through the woods. There's quite a few of them. All right, we're at the top of the hill. If I'm not mistaken, the cemetery. Yep, there it is. I can see it through the edge of the trees there. The walling up. And there's grave markers kind of all out through here. We'll walk down here to the original section first. Yeah, and you can see the small markers kind of scattered all out through here. They're everywhere. Some sections of this cemetery wall have been knocked down over the years, fallen down. There's part of the walling right here. But this place always seemed, it's always seemed really creepy. You can't really tell it now. Looks like they cut it off of here. I'll put a picture of what used to be on the door right here. It was, we were always told as kids it was like Angel of Death. And people kept stealing this door. It would end up all over the country. They'd find it. You can see someone has gone through and they've cut the welds out of it and taken the so there's the newer gravestone here. Goes back to 1913. It's like a army captain in the 1800s. You can tell it's definitely an older section here. This one's busted all up. 1857. Some smaller ones through here. Kid, when we creep down here, it always just seemed like a spooky little spot down here, especially with the angel on the doorway there. So we'll get back on trail. Now, this trail just kind of has us beating down this dirt road right now. I know there's a little section that you road walk. I don't know how far it is, but we'll figure it out. I think we got to get across the bridge that takes us over the lake and then probably ducks back into the woods. We'll find out. There's definitely another marker for the train though. We'll just keep on following. Thus far, we've just been tracking along pretty closely with what All Trails has to say for this trail. Alright. Trail access. Alright, let's see. So we started up here. So we're right here. I guess this is Huguenot Parkway we're coming up to. So we have to get across the lake here and here. I assume, okay, this is actually all highway from here to here. So it looks like probably about 2 miles of this is going to be walking down the shoulder of this road here. And it looks like we go back in here. That's the train trestle. Okay, cool. Opened in 2011. Route dates back to 1800s. Cool. One thing that's nice to see so far, the 2 cars that have gone by, they've all waved at me. That's a good sign. I guess I don't look like a homeless vagabond out here. Always a plus. Even though we're just walking down the shoulder of the road, definitely does not seem to be a high traffic road. Nice wide shoulders. Makes it easy enough to get down. And yes, I had to peel out of that orange traffic cone sweater. It was hot, getting sweaty. If I got sweaty, I was going to get cold. If I stopped. Might have a little bit of a wait when we get up here to the end of the trail. Didn't want to be sweaty and freezing up there. Yeah, gosh, the lake looks like it's probably 10 foot of elevation low across the way here. Tope on a short leash so she doesn't dart out in front of the car if it comes through. Little turtle down there. Folks up here parked on the right. They're down here on the left fishing off the lake. Down there with that car, if you can see it in the horizon going around the curve, should be our next bridge. I think it's a longer bridge than the one we just came across. Yeah, without fail, out of the probably 10 cars that have passed me so far on the road, every single one of them, they'll give you the big high sign. It's always a plus. It's something, I don't know if you can see it. We're in the edge of the woods. It's like some kind of cribbing. It might be set up for fish to live in or something. There's 3 or 4 of them over there. Yeah, definitely a bigger section of the lake over here. Still a little overcast. It's hoping for a nice little cloudy overcast day today, so didn't roast. Figured this one little section on the road would be lacking in shade, so I think we got about another mile of this before we duck back in the woods here. Yeah, there's a few little homes and stuff up there. Part of a planned community that's out that way. There are a handful of little sections that are privately owned before the Corps took over the lake, and some have been converted to private after so. You typically don't see a ton of homes on this lake. This is Thurman Lake, Strom Thurman Lake, something like that, named after a former U.S. senator from the area, Strom Thurman. Before that, this lake was named Clark's Hill. So, a lot of people who have lived here forever, don't tell anyone, but they still call it Clark's Hill Lake. I don't know if you guys can see it, but way up there, it's a stop sign. There's a little white Camry sitting up there. It's my father, he's stalking me, make sure I'm still alive. Okay, so we punted back into the woods here. There was a sign posting back there that said the trail was closed 1 mile after the train trestle. So we're not that far from the trestle, however you pronounce it. So looks like we're going to be able to go another couple miles. Then we have to punch our way back out and come back out because it doesn't look like the trail was open all the way through. We're going to walk out and see though. And my guess is it's damage from the storm that still haven't cleaned up yet. You guys can't see it, but right over in there, over on that little knoll, there's a deer standing up there. It's a little doe. We flushed her from down here in this bottom and she ran to the top. She's right there behind this little little clump of trees, trying to hide from us. I saw her flick her tail in her ears just a minute ago. She settled in right there on the top. Try not to bother her too much. Some kind of marker right here, 255.5. Excuse me, 252.5. Whatever that means. Still passing through. You can definitely tell this is old rail system. It just feels like it. Kind of interesting to picture an engine chugging through here 150 years ago, billowing smoke. Bordeaux Depot. The 1st of December 1885, smoke bellowing steam engines thundered along the rails, pulling cars carrying passengers and freight between McCormick and Bordeaux. Bordeaux is a community that's kind of between Anderson and McCormick. Within a month, the crews were laying tracks northwesterly toward Anderson. They reached Willington. Willington is actually where this trail supposedly ends. I guess that depot was like right along in here. I thought it'd be interesting to come out like metal detect an area like that. But I also know that a lot of times you're not supposed to do that stuff in places like this, so never have. Does that mean I wouldn't like to? Just a little valley down up there. This would be a nice little spot to just pop up here on the edge and watch out across that little valley and see what kind of creatures move through there. You know, some stuff picks its way down there and gets water from the stream. There's a little bit of water right down through there. A nice little vantage point to sit and watch. See what you can see. Got a pretty wide angle of view through here. It's pretty open at the bottom. I bet you can see some good stuff. Yeah, definitely would have been a lot more difficult going up and down and covering the area through here with this nice flat railroad system to walk through. I'm starting to get into some pretty good inclines and descents. These little rocky outcroppings here and there. Alright, so this is 5 miles in, which I'll watch continue about 6.5, so it's to about our 1.5 miles that we added for our little excursions off trail. Clearly an area that was beaten down by the storm. It looks like we're ready to cross the road up here again. Alright, so start over here. We're right here right now. So this is where the trail is closed out. I don't walk that far. Come on, Topo. Enjoy your trail at your own risk. Yes, there's the trail, another trail closure sign. All right. Another one of the original whistle posts. So again, 2 long blasts, 2 short blasts. Long, long, short, short. And here's a kind of road crossings in about 1/4 mile. So basically let you know the road crossing in 1/4 mile. Yeah, cool. All right, starting to see a little peeking through the lake. Even though it's really low. Over here on the left, I think I see the trestle up here in front of us. Some sort. Still see some cross ties from the railway. All right, so this is mile marker 512. The original railroad mile markers. Placed every mile track laid and numbered. Train new location. All right, so let's check out 507, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15. the lake is low. Last time I was out here, it was much, much, much higher. This looks like just a mud pit. I think I have some footage where I was out here last year, 2 years ago, something like that. I'll try to splice in here so you guys can see it with actual water in it, because right now it is empty. South Carolina State Trails Program. Savannah River Training Trestle, constructed in the 1880s. Damaged by fire. They subsequently rebuilt it. Yeah, you can see there's just a little trickle of water through there now. Oh, that's normally full. I actually have never even seen that before. That's usually underwater. It's way over there's my father sitting on the edge of the bridge. I told you he's spying on me. He's like a stalker. Duck house down there. Wow. Little American flag going on up here. Flag action. Yeah, so this is what I was hoping for out of this trail. Just lots of nice open forest trail. Nothing too strenuous, nice relaxing way to wrap up 2025. If you're gonna walk in the woods, I would highly advise you figure out what the purple paint means. I'll give you a hint. It usually had a lot to do with that. So in certain parts of the country, that's actually a legal alternative to posting a no trespassing sign. So see the purple paint on the trees, depending on state by state, area by area, it's general rule of thumb, it means no trespassing. So no one wants to ease over someone else's property and get clipped. So stay away from the purple paint. You think this forestry sign's been here for a little while? The tree's grown and basically scabbed completely over it. That's cool. It's a pretty little section through here. It drops off on both sides pretty steeply. Nice big mature trees. I like little stuff like this. All right, we got something coming up here. Might be the end of the trail. Let's see what it says. No trespassing, hunting, or fishing. Violators prosecuted under penalty of law. So it looks like this is all private property, not an issue of whether or not it's damaged or not. I guess they're just not allowing the easement down the track here. Interesting. Well, that sucks. Private property, hunting, fishing, trapping, or trespassing for any purposes is strictly prohibited. Violators will be prosecuted. Oh well. Hey, Tope, get back over here. Oh well. Guess that's the end of our jaunt. Oh well. Fun little hike. Kind of stinks that we can't make it all the way to the end of it. But a nice relaxing little hike. I'd definitely do it again. It would have been nice to have made it to the very end of it, but oh well, such is luck. No worries. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we'll see what we can get into next time. Here's my chauffeur way down there, patiently waiting on me. Being a good papa.